This is the Akai MPK Mini, and if you're like me and you've stumbled across this video, you may have had a problem with dead keys on it. I had a problem where this key and this key were just not providing any MIDI input at all. I tested it with a sort of device that monitors the MIDI, constantly monitors the MIDI port, and as you press things you can see the kind of scrolling text changing, and this just wasn't doing anything. So I was thinking, well, shall I just bin this, because it's, you know, it's not massively expensive. You can pick these up for about £60. There's a link in the description of the video. Or should I maybe just go for it and take it apart and have a look? And that's what I did, and that's what I'm going to do today, because it solved the problem for me. So first thing I'm going to do is take this apart, and to do this we do need to remove these buttons. Actually, I'm not sure you do, so I'm going to try without it first. I've forgotten how I did this. So I'm going to go in, I've just got a standard small Phillips screwdriver here, and I'm going to go in the back of this, and I won't let you watch. You don't have to watch all of this. I'll speed this up for you. But I'm going to carry on recording. So I'm going to take these out, just put these to one side carefully. I feel like I'm doing some kind of Big Clive or Julian Eilert video here. I never normally take stuff apart. I used to take stuff apart all the time when I was a kid, and 50% of the time it used to end up in the bin because I broke it. I'm just not that good with taking stuff to bits. You've got to be so systematical, haven't you? I mean, not with a device like this, because it's pretty straightforward, but you've got to be so systematic in how you do it. You know, you've got to remember the exact order that you took stuff apart, and lay stuff out correctly so you can put it all back in. I don't know, I've never mastered it, and as a result I've broken a lot of stuff taking things apart. I remember the worst thing I broke was this kind of really vintage Roberts radio. I don't know if you see, if you know what I'm talking about. They sell them now as vintage devices. You know, they've kind of redone them in the style that they were when they were originally made. But this was the real deal. This was the original Roberts radio, and it's scary how complicated inside they are around kind of strings and pulleys and stuff to get all the tuning to work. I took it apart, it just kind of went bang, and I never got it back together, and I just put it in the bin and hoped that my parents wouldn't notice. Right, so there we go. I think that's pretty much all the screws out of there. So now, there we go. How many are there? Oops, oh, right, okay, so that lifts off quite easily by the look of things. Now, let's just open this up. Because I remember when I did this, this was relatively straightforward. There was nothing too complicated about this. So just lifting it off the USB port at the side there, making sure it's clear of that. And be careful when you open it, because the keys are attached to the bottom part, and then you have a ribbon cable attached here, and you'll need to release that, and these things can break very, very easily. So the best way to do that is to just hold that there and get a finger on there and a finger on there, and just push those two handles back like that. There's two little kind of black plastic handles that need to get pushed back to open it, and then that just slides out, and it's really, really simple. And so now that is completely separate. Excellent, all done, and we're left with the bit that actually matters. So this is the main area of problems. Looks like it's split into 3 sections here. Who knows why they build these things the way they do. But let's get a bit further into this and take these out. I'm assuming I'm going to need to take this off here. Let's just remove these 4 screws from here. Right. Now what does that do for me? There we go. You wouldn't believe I've done this before, would you? Right, so that removes this one section of keys, because this is the one that was a problem for me. And this just peels off, I think. Just comes off and is connected with these, it just sort of sits on the board with these little kind of pegs or whatever you want to call them. And this was the problem. I'm going to get the camera now and I'm going to sort of refocus so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now this here, let's just refocus. This here, can you see the dirt on there? This dirt and dust was all over these contacts, and it was particularly bad on, I think, this one and this one. So all I've done is just clean these off, you know, standard kind of good things to use is something like tape, you know, tape I'd clean, some sort of alcohol or something. Just clean those off and put it back together, and it worked perfectly. But why, I have no idea why the board has been left with this dirt on it. Look, I mean, it spreads all the way back here as well. It suggests that it's either been caused in storage or it's just sort of not gone through suitable quality checks. But anyway, that's the problem. And hopefully if you have this problem, you can just take it apart very simply like that and just clean these contacts down. And let's put it back together now. Now, of course, you know how to do it, so you won't need to necessarily watch this bit as well. Let's just refocus my camera. And it's, you know, just reverse process. Gently slot those bits back onto there. Place your keys back on there. Dead easy. Screws back in. Now, of course, don't over tighten anything, because this is relatively hard and, I mean, probably not massively brittle plastic, but it's certainly not soft stuff. It would crack. He says, you know, I'm no expert with this whatsoever. But there we are. Now we get to the point where we've got to reconnect this up. So let's bring in the board here and slot this back in place. We need to get our ribbon cable, just slot it back in place so it actually kind of hits against the back. You know, it's a nice solid fit there. In fact, it'd be easier if this just stood up. This is difficult to do with while I'm kind of doing stuff on the camera at the same, just trying to keep the light on the camera and things. So yeah, just slot that against the back, and now I need to get these handles down with it in. There we go. Now these can, as I say, these can break very, very easily, so do try and push these down together if you can. Just, you know, just do it in a logical kind of thing. That's not quite in as well as it should be, I don't think. But I think it'll probably do. There's probably good contact there. Oh, good, that's standing up now. Maybe I can push those out again gently. Is that in? Maybe it is, actually. Oh no, that was in. Okay, so there is a little bit of the metal showing. Fine, and that's now back in place. Slot it all back together again. Keys, slotting the keys down underneath here. And check everything's in place, good. So you don't even have to take these off, I thought you did. But you don't have to take those off, they're all attached to the board. Slot those back in place, put all the screws in, and I bet that solves the problem. If you have got any dirt on your board like that, I mean, I just kind of think to myself, if it's affected one, it's going to surely have affected more than one. So if you have had that problem, you probably will void your warranty taking it apart like that, but it isn't an expensive device, and it's worth it if it gets the keys working, isn't it? I mean, no problems at all, and it works perfectly and has worked ever since I cleaned them. So there you go. How to fix, potentially, a dead key on an Akai MPK Mini. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you like the channel. Not the sort of stuff I normally do, taking things apart. I'm no expert at it, but it worked for me this time. So thanks for watching. Catch you soon. Bye.